Hello and welcome to my channel Physics for Students. My name is Shaunak and a warm welcome to the second video on a series that we are learning about interview questions or questions for science graduate. If you have not watched the first video, you will lose the link, so I would request you, I have put it on the I button. Go to my channel Physics for Students, do subscribe and watch the first video. Watch the first video. The two questions was on physics and mathematics. The first was on gravity, second was why 0 is considered to be an important number. Now here we start today's video with a very fundamental and an important thing. Again, the chances of error are huge. Right on the screen you see the question is that if time stopped for 10 seconds, what would happen to the world around us? Now, I can tell you the moment you face this question, the first answer is that time is something imaginative. Time is something abstract. What will happen if the clock stops today at 8:30 p.m. and nothing is going to happen? This is exactly the error which the students have made when the questions were asked. So in order to not make those mistakes, as I told you, first let us understand what is the object, why the recruiter is asking the question. What is the test? Number one, on your screen, to test creative and critical thinking, assessing, understanding physical principles and evaluate problem solving abilities. The second line is important, assess understanding physical principles. That means the recruiter expects that you imagine that time has stopped for 10 seconds. What are the relations in physics or mathematics which are related to time? How it is going to impact? What are the pros and cons of that? So assessing, understanding what are the physical principles. As I told you earlier also, whatever the abstract question they are asked, you are going as a science graduate. So objective is not to make philosophical answers. What is the objective? Right on the screen. Simple three things. Evaluating your knowledge, relating science to real life experiences, again potential teaching skills. As I have told you in my first video, potential teaching skill doesn't mean that you're going as a physics lecturer. It can be teaching into any sphere of physics and mathematics. Okay. First of all, as I told you, that huge amount of error, chances of error are huge. So right on your screen. You ignore physics principle, you overlook the implications and you become too philosophical. Obviously, the question, this is the problem, being too philosophical. Let us see the sample answers, things will become clearer. If time stopped for 10 seconds, everything that depends on time. Again, this is important. It is not philosophy, it is pure physics. It is, the recruiter is testing that, first of all, your imagination power. Second of all is that what are the underlying principles that are guiding with time, that are dependent on time. So that depends on time, including motion, would cease. For example, this. The biological process would halt. Essentially, the universe would pause completely because time underpins every physical process. Very simple question and a very simply thought answer. If time stopped, what are the factors of physics that depends on time? These things will also stop. Let's see the second answer. The laws of physics are intertwined with time. Energy and momentum are defined over time. So if time stops, there would be no energy transfer. This means gravity, this would stop functioning. Planes would freeze and so on. Related to one important thing is that the way you are answering. So here you can see that the most important thing that you first answer is that what are the things that depends on time and what would happen to those things. Obviously, speed, motion, velocity, all those things will stop. So first you give a very direct answer, very simple answer. Then you see the second answer is talking about special theory of relativity or relativity as a whole, because space and time are intertwined. There will be no energy equals to mass and this and that. Then you talk it in a different way. So the way you are actually answering, remember, you are also educating the recruiter, the principal of the university. Answer number 3. Interestingly, if time itself is frozen, we would not notice the freeze before our perceptions of time is trying to flow. For us, those 10 seconds would feel instantaneous, almost like they never existed. So a little bit more abstract answer on the third answer. So first, you see the chronology, how it has been answered. First is that what are the physics principles which are depending on time you have answered. Second is that you are going a little bit advanced with space and time intervening and electromagnetic force, etc. Third, you are being a little bit philosophical. You're saying that time itself, this person, we would not notice. It would just go instantaneously. That is actually happened. So let us see what is the key takeaway. So you can see on the screen, I have highlighted in red that ability to synthesize knowledge, think creatively, and explain complex ideas clearly. It's a complex idea. What would happen if time stops? So that is the important part. And a strong answer does not just describe the implications of stopping time, but also demonstrate curiosity, scientific understanding, and clarity of thought. That means if time stops, the plane would freeze. If time stops, so again, the creativity part is coming. So again, as I told you, this series of videos carries a very weird question. What would happen if time stops? I mean to say, you can find a lot of YouTube fancy videos on that. But believe me, these are the questions which are asked at higher level. And this is the way you answer. So what did you answer? Most importantly is that you set out the chronology of being concrete, a little bit advanced, and then a little bit abstract. And when the time has stopped, that means it is a constraint. You are not moving forward because time has stopped. So taking that, working within the constraint, how do you adapt? How do you being creative and showing resilience and practical ingenuity? That what are the things which are happening? So this is what is important about stopping the time, and what are the underlying reasons the principal or the recruiter is asking, and that is how you answer. Now, coming to the next question, which is right on your screen. How would you design a bridge to stand without traditional materials like steel or concrete? Now, the moment you hear or see this type of a question, the first thing that comes in your mind is that this would be related to engineering, to construction, to building. And I will tell you that you are right, absolutely. Now, the first reason, let us see why the recruiter is asking this question. Number one is that obviously the recruiter wants to test the creativity and innovation, adaptability, and knowledge of engineering principles. Now, this is something which is very ground rooted, because I will show you there are bridges, there are constructions which are not made of steel or concrete materials. Now, the objective is something a little bit different. Why? I mean to say, what do the recruiter expect out of you on the screen? Do you have an ability to propose unconventional solutions, understand alternative of material physics and engineering, and how would you approach problem solve when faced with resource constraints? So, as I told you that as a physicist, if you see that it is not always that you will be given a huge amount of resource, money, etc., and you can work. No, not only as an engineer but also as a physicist, as a mathematician, you have a very restrictive kind of a resource. So what the person is testing is something deep. It is nothing related to engineering. The recruiter is testing, number one, is that can you propose a very unconventional idea, because how can a bridge stand without a steel or solid material? Second is that do you have knowledge of other alternative material of physics? And if you do have, then how you can use it with constraints, because we all work under constraints, isn't it? Now, the mistake again that you make is that these are the things. And among these four, I would say the second and the fourth is important. Ignoring the laws of physics. Now, how can a bridge stand? What are the things that you are into? I mean to say, you can tell better because I am not an engineer. And a fourth one is lack of confidence. And also, if you focus only on materials, you won't focus on physics also. Let us see what are the answers. Number one, if traditional materials like steel or concrete were unavailable, I would explore using sustainable materials such as bamboo, which is both lightweight and incredibly strong under tension. So you are already giving back to the nature, to the society. That is what? Using sustainable materials. To enhance its durability, I would treat it with natural resins to make it weather resistant and so on. So the first thing is that you're acknowledging the fact that you are moving or you're doing without sufficient resource. There is not much of a resource. What you are doing, you are basically using certain sustainable materials and things which are water resistant also, because as an engineer you have to keep it in mind, if there is rain or there is thunder and lightning and a lot of natural catastrophes, then the bridge would be able to sustain that. So you're keeping that also in mind. Let us see what is the answer number 2. I would consider a geodesic structure. You can read through that and pause it. Fibers like hemp or jute, the design distributes stress evenly and so. Now, you see the difference between the first and the second answer. The first is that it shows the confidence within you that you can use sustainable materials, natural resins to make it weather resistant and so on. The second answer that you are doing is a little bit more technical. That means, for example, distribute stress and then recycle plastics and so on. Now, if you look into in the history of the development of bridges, I will just show you a few examples. That there has been suspension bridges, there have been arch bridges, there have been geodesic designs, stone arch, Inca rope designs, wooden truss bridges, and a lot. So already history shows that there are bridges which are not made of steel and concrete. Now the question is that, do you know that? Can you bring that answer in front of the recruiter? Now, let us go back to the first question which we answered in this particular video. The first question was that of a time stopping within 10 seconds. That means if time stops, what are the factors of physics that are happening? The second question is a different kind of a leap. It is a budget constraint, it is a material constraint, it is a situational constraint, and you have to build that. Now, as a science graduate, both in physics, mathematics, whatever the areas that you're doing, these things are important because you have to work within certain areas and within certain things. So, what is the key takeaway? Number one, that do you have what we call it as you propose a design. That means you have the confidence, you have the ingenuity, you have that creativity. Number one is that proposing something which is very innovative. The second key takeaway would be that you also have the knowledge of the other material. Third is that you already acknowledge the constraints. And fourth is that how do you balance with the sustainability, with the materials that will make it waterproof and weather durable and ABCD. So this question, now it might change from a bridge to something else. Might be a river or a ship or a hovercraft. It might change, but the basic understanding of it is that given a constraint, given certain things which are not as usual, think out of the box, and that is how you do. So these two questions will actually make up the second part of our video. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel Physics for Students and wait for the other parts which are coming, because each of these videos will have something new and a kind of a twist which will make you think and think and think. Thank you very much.